Have you ever stopped to think about why we even have governments? It's pretty much humanity's oldest and biggest challenge, right? How do we all live together and make decisions without total chaos? Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. I mean, this single question, it's shaped entire empires, it's sparked bloody revolutions, and frankly, it's a puzzle we are still trying to figure out all over the world. People have been trying to answer it for thousands of years. Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to start by looking at the ancient blueprints from places like Greece and Rome. Then we'll jump to the modern era to get a handle on the huge difference between federal and unitary systems. We'll see how this plays out in the real world, and then we'll zoom out to see the incredible story of democracy spread and, the challenges it's facing right now. So where did all our modern ideas even come from? Well, you've got to remember, early societies didn't just roll over and accept rule by kings and emperors. Some of them started toying with some pretty radical new ideas about where power should really come from. And it was the ancient Greeks who gave us the word for it, democracy. And man, this idea completely flipped the script. See, instead of power coming from some god or a royal bloodline, democracy said that the power, the might, the kratos, should actually belong to the people, the demos. Now, this is where it gets super interesting. Athens and Rome gave us two totally different blueprints. In Athens, it was all about direct democracy. If you were a citizen, you physically went to the assembly and voted on the laws yourself. But Rome, they came up with a representative model where citizens elected officials to go make decisions for them. And that Roman model? Yeah, that's pretty much the ancestor of most democracies we have today. Okay, so those Roman ideas of representation start to spread, but as modern countries started to form, they ran into a brand new critical question. Once you decide to give power to the people, where do you physically put it? The answer to that question creates this fundamental split that we see in democracies all over the world today. And this division is absolutely crucial. On one hand, you've got a federal system. Think of it like a partnership where power is shared between the central government and regional governments like states or provinces. On the other hand, you've got a unitary system, and there, all the power is concentrated right at the top. And trust me, this one choice shapes just about everything in a country. This isn't just abstract theory, of course. Let's take a look at a few countries and see how these systems actually work, and sometimes how they get bent in the real world. Nigeria is a fantastic example of how federalism can handle a ton of diversity. It has 36 different states, and they have some real freedom to do their own thing. I mean, get this, 9 states in the north actually use Sharia law for their justice system, while the southern states absolutely do not. That kind of deep legal diversity, there's just no way that could happen in a unitary system. Then you have Russia, which shows how a system that's federal on paper can be pulled in a much more centralized direction. Under Putin, the central government has used a bunch of different tools to tighten its grip. Everything from military force in places like Chechnya, to passing laws that let them fire local governors, to even creating these 7 super districts to oversee the regions. Every single move was designed to pull power away from the regions and back to the center. In China shows you the flip side, the very real limits of a unitary system. Officially, all power is supposed to be in Beijing with the Communist Party, but the country is just so massive. It's practically impossible to micromanage everything. So you get this fascinating situation where local officials get their power not by making new laws, but simply by ignoring the ones from the central government or setting their own tax rates without asking. So if we zoom out and look at the whole 20th century, we see the spread of these democratic ideas wasn't some straight, steady line. It's actually been described as a series of waves, periods where democracy expands, followed by periods where it actually recedes. You see a wave of it after World War I. Then after World War II, it's a mixed bag, a win for democracy in the West, but authoritarianism takes over Eastern Europe. Then, starting in the 70s, this huge third wave just washes over the entire globe. And this is a big but, in the 21st century, that momentum has not only stopped, it's actually started to reverse. And I mean, that third wave was absolutely massive. By the year 2000, 120 of the world's 192 nations, that's 62%, were considered liberal democracies. Now, get this, at the start of that same century, the number was basically 0. It was a truly staggering transformation of the entire planet. But the story doesn't have a perfectly happy ending. Recent data shows a really concerning trend. For more than a decade now, that tide has been going out. More countries are what they call autocratizing, moving away from democracy than are moving towards it.
It's a phenomenon that experts are calling democratic backsliding.
And all of this brings us right back to where we started, doesn't it? It's just a powerful reminder that this whole quest for the best way to govern, it's not a problem with a final answer key. It is an ongoing, live experiment, and frankly, we are all a part of it.
So, yeah, the story of governance is clearly far from over. All these tensions between different models, direct and representative, federal and unitary, democratic and authoritarian, they're all still shaping our world in real time. And that leaves us with a critical and kind of scary question for our own future. What will the next wave of governance actually look like?